Adding and subtracting integers. We're going to break this down. We're going to add integers here, and then we'll subtract. So let's talk about integers can also be added and subtracted using an algorithm. Or a set of rules. So adding integers, if the two values have the same sign, then we're going to add and use the same sign. So if it's positive and positive, 6 plus 5 is 11. Now if it's negative, negative, we're still going to do 6 plus 5, which is 11, but since they're both negative, I owe 6, I owe 5, I'm going to owe 11. Now if the signs are different, then we're going to subtract. And we're going to take the sign of the greatest absolute value. So if we look at it at the bigger number without the signs. So this one would be 6 minus 5, which is 1. Because the 6 is bigger and it's positive, this is going to be a positive 1. But then if this one, if we go 6 minus 5, which is 1, but since the 6 is bigger than 5, without the sign, and the 6 has negative, it's negative 1. Okay, so on this is your practice here. So what you're going to do is you're going to do all of these problems, and I'll just pick out 1 or 2 here to work on. So if I go negative 9 plus 6, so it'd be 9 minus 6 if I use the rule, which is 3. But since the 9 is bigger than 6, without the sign, it's going to take a negative value on. Okay? Now, once you get all of these answers here, you're going to add them all up. Remember, sum is add, and you should get 13 if you were correct. Okay? All right, so you'll do each of these. Just remember, if they're both negative, I'm going to take 6 plus 8 here, which is 14. Since it's negative 6, I owe 6, I owe 8, I owe $14. So they become negative. All right, so that is adding integers. Now let's talk about subtracting integers. And we can use the additive inverse here. So when its number and its opposite are added, the sum is 0. So it's like adding 0 pair with counters here. So if I owe $9, but I pay $9, but I add on $9 to it because I paid off, I have 0. I'm at 0. I owe nothing. Okay, so we'll come back to the additive inverse here at the bottom. Now let's talk about subtracting integers. So double negatives become a positive, or adding here. So we call this the whoosh method. Now, if I have a minus a negative, they just don't work together. It's kind of like if you remember with the magnets, they just don't work together. They kind of repel each other. They're not happy. So double negatives actually become positive. So we can whoosh this like this, which actually just becomes plus plus. So 2 negatives, when you're subtracting a negative, it becomes a positive. So this actually becomes 6 plus 7, which is 13. So you can only change 2 negatives when they're right next to each other. So yes, they had a parenthesis between them, but they did not have a number between them. Okay, so because it's minus a negative, this is negative 3 minus negative 8 minus a negative, that becomes positive. So this actually becomes negative 3 plus 8, which becomes 5. So here, the minus and the negative, the two signs there, there's a 9 between them. This actually says -9 minus 11. So if I owe 9 and then I owe 11, it could actually look like this if this helps you to see it a little bit differently. Okay. But if I owe 9 and I'm like, let's say I'm on the number line, here's 0, and then I'm down here at -9, well, then I got to subtract 11 more. So I'm going to be at -20 because I owe 9 and then I owe $11. So I owe $20. Okay, right here, I'd like you to pause and try these 3 problems. Make sure you pause. Okay, now that you've tried these 3 problems, -5 minus 9 is -14. I owe 5, I'm at -5 on the number line, and I subtract, so I go further to -14. 8 minus -3, so if you can say it out loud to yourself, when you say minus and negative, they both become positive, so this becomes 11. And then here I have -2 minus a -10, minus and negative both become positive, so -2 plus 10 is 8. Okay, similar idea to the other side. You're going to complete this table here. Make sure 1 minus -9 minus a negative, this actually becomes 1 plus 9, which is actually 10. Just watch those very carefully. And at the end, once you get your answers, your sum here should be 4. Remember, sum is adding. So total that at the ends. So here are your pages for adding and subtracting integers.